You just watch Andy at Mayberry? Is that why you're whistling the Andy Griffith song?
Grew up on that, buddy.
I
Grew
know
up
what
on
you
that
mean.
one.
Right here, Ryan on the right.
Willie, obviously the big question is how's Justin Herbert doing, and do you feel like overall the team took advantage of the bye in terms of getting healthy, recharging?
Justin's doing well. His bone is healing really good. Had a good week of practice last week. Had a good practice yesterday, and I mean a lot of the guys that was nicked up, they're back and seemed like they had some fresh legs after having a couple of days off, and had a very enthusiastic practice yesterday, and I think they'll be ready to roll.
Right here, Matt. Front.
Is Justin included in that group that were nicked up and are back?
I wouldn't call his nicked up. He was beat up. But he's getting close. He's getting really close. And I guess we'll see as the week goes on, and probably get another x-ray and see where he is. And hopefully he's completely healed and ready to roll. Milk helps. I promise you that. It's helped him big time.
Second row, Jerry. Middle.
Yeah, Coach, same about Troy Dye. Is he ready to roll? And could you talk about what an influence he is as a player on and off the field? And some of the players you've coached, how does he compare?
Troy, he's back. He's ready to go. He's a kid that loves to play football. He loves competing. He loves being around his teammates. And it's just fun to watch. It's fun to have him around. He don't take a practice off. He don't take games off. I mean, when it's time to compete, he's ready to go every single time. And as a coach, you can appreciate that, and you wish your entire team that way. And those are the kind of guys you look for when you go and recruit guys that just live and die to compete. And he loves competing, and he's great to have. He's great to have around, and he's been big time for our defense this year, and glad we still have him coming back.
On the left, right.
Hey, Coach, obviously Justin and Braxton bring different things to the table. How does the offense kind of go about their week with the uncertainty at quarterback as to, who will start? Are there different things they try and pick up on with each quarterback?
Well, we know with Justin, he can run the entire offense, and with Braxton, he's getting there. Again, he didn't have the luxury of going through spring ball, getting all the reps, and going through training camp, getting all the reps. So he had to just get in midway through the season and say, hey, you go take care of this, and not, I shouldn't say fair or not, but it just unfortunate that he was thrown in that situation. But I think in the long run, it's going to help him tremendously of getting that experience in games, as he continue to grow and continue to get better. He's going to be fine.
On the right, Preston.
Hey, Coach, I know you said kind of later in the week is when you're going to decide on Justin.
question.
It is. Maybe a couple Justin questions.
All
I don't know.
right.
Who knows? Do you have like a day that you want to decide that by? And then
Yes.
what are those conversations like with Justin kind of when you're figuring out if he's good enough to go or not?
Just ask him how he feels. How's that shoulder feeling? And that's pretty much it. I mean, if we leave it up to Justin, he would have played about 3 weeks ago, But that's just the kind of kid, young man that he is. He's such a competitor, just like Troy Dye. He just loved to compete and want to help his teammates out. So if we'd have left it up to him, he would have played, like I say, 3 weeks ago, no matter if the bone was healed or not. It's just, again, we'll get another X-ray this week and see where the bone is where it's healed. Hopefully it's completely healed and he can play. But timeline, say 3:59 on Saturday.
On the left, right.
Hey, Coach, in today's day and age, high schoolers, they decommit to different schools. Any talk with Braxton or maybe what he's going through after, first committing to Arizona and now, obviously committing and playing for Oregon. Now he has a chance to step in as a true freshman and play against the Wildcats. Any idea what that thought process might be like for him?
No, we haven't even talked about that. we haven't even brought that up since that happened back in this February or January, whenever it happened back then. Hadn't talked about that at all. Braxton and I just talked about him and his development, and just continue to try to get better each and every week, and don't worry about the naysayers or whatever. I also shared a story with him about the quarterback I had at South Florida. His freshman year, I put him in. His first 2 passes was interception, and everyone said the kid sucked, and he couldn't play. It was amazing. Now he's a hero, So shared that story with him and just tell him you just can't get caught up in that. You understand where you're at, and you got to continue to develop and let him know that we believe in him, and that's why we want him here. We know what he's capable of doing, and know that he will continue to improve, and he's going to be fine.
Willie, another quarterback question. This one about Khalil Tate, though. You guys have faced a lot of dynamic quarterbacks this season. Yeah, nothing like him. Do you have to do anything extra special this week? I know there's other pieces of the puzzle with their offense, but he's a pretty big piece of that. Is there anything extra you guys kind of have to do this week to make sure you can contain him on Saturday?
Pray. I mean, he's. I mean, no one stopped him yet this year. He's a heck of a talent, big time football player, and he's really good with the ball in his hand. But defensively, we got to be disciplined. We got to be disciplined and make sure we do a good job of wrapping up and getting everybody to the ball. Guys got to run to the ball, and probably the most important thing, we got to get lined up. You see a lot of the plays, big plays they make, defenses aren't aligned right. Part of it because of tempo, and they're not getting set up. I don't think you can complicate things trying to defend. I think that'll get you too when you ask your guy to do too much, and then they don't do anything right. But I will say this: we got to be really good at tackling. Something we focus on a lot during the bye week. We got to do a great job of tackling and. Make sure. We're going to know where he's at. We just got to do a good job of getting to him and tackle him. He's a good football player along with their backs. Their backs are pretty good players too, and they have some receivers that can make plays. It's a dynamic offense and have their challenges, But if we're on the top of our game and play with a lot of emotion and passion and discipline, then we'll have a chance.
Willie, Tate didn't start to begin the season. Have you ever been in that position where you had a guy on your team and maybe didn't know what he could do until you saw him under the lights?
Not at quarterback position. Probably another position, but not the quarterback position. I got to think that they knew what he can do. They probably just didn't necessarily think he was ready yet. And I always say the spotlight does strange things to some people. Some people show up and show out, and some people go hide. This kid show up and show out under the spotlight. And I mean, they have a couple good talented quarterbacks. Even the guy before him was talented. He wasn't Tate, but he's a pretty good athlete. So, and to be honest with you, you really don't know what you have until you throw them out there in the game. You can kind of assume and practice, but again, you don't know until you get out in front of 50, 60,000 people and see what they're capable of doing.
We all know about what he can do on the ground, but what's his skills passing like? What have you evaluated him as a passer?
He's completed some passes. He completed a couple down the field. He throws some screen passes and some hitches and some deep balls. I think he's pretty good at what they ask him to do. They don't ask him to throw it 20, 30 times a game. The way they run the football, they don't have to. It's kind of, again, it's option football. But when they do ask him to throw, he's pretty effective with that as well.
Hey, Coach, you talked about it being a 2-game season. How have the guys embraced that mentality, maybe forgetting about the first past 10 and now looking forward to just these 2 games at home?
They've been good. Like I said, we had a very energetic practice yesterday, and we talked about enjoying these last 2 weeks with the seniors, and telling the seniors to enjoy it as well because they're going to miss it. This is their last 2 opportunity to play in Autzen Stadium. It's something they all dreamed of coming in here, just playing and trying to make it their best 2 games they ever played in Austin Stadium. And the games before this, there's nothing you can do about those but put it behind you and play these last 2. And like I said earlier, we have a lot to play for, and that's credit to our players of putting our football team in a situation where this time of year you're still playing for something, and that was the work that they put in early in the year, and even though we had some bumps along the way, then we still got a chance to do some things. So they're excited about it. Great opportunity, great challenge ahead of us, and I think they look forward to taking advantage of those opportunities.
Jared, right, second row. Bill?
Yeah, Coach, you had a rare opportunity Saturday night to see your next 2 opponents. Were you able to watch that game and live? And if so, what did you take from that? Were you encouraged by Oregon State running the ball as well as they did against Arizona?
I didn't. I was with my kids. I had a rare opportunity to spend time with them and enjoy them, and it was great. We went to the Globetrotter game, and my 2-year-old now has a ball, and she's trying to spin it on her finger now. But I spent time with them this weekend and on Saturday. So, but I did watch them yesterday and this morning, to see them, but didn't watch them Saturday. I was watching Morgan and Jackson and not much Will. Will's older now. He don't spend as much time with Dad. He kind of do his own thing now. Like, can I get a dap or something? He don't give me a hug or anything. But it was a joy spending time with Morgan. She is a fire plug for sure.
What did you take from what you saw the last 2 days?
Out of which team? Really didn't pay too much attention to Oregon State, what they were trying to do, anything. It was more focusing on Arizona and what they're doing, and on both sides of the ball, and special teams, and what we can do to try to exploit some of their weaknesses. So focus more on them, and come next week we'll focus a lot on Oregon State. They did do some good things, especially in the second half. Oregon State did. Running the football, they started to run with some power and went downhill on them and did some good things.
Colin Schooler seems to just make the plays that are needed to be made for Arizona. What's your impressions of him and just the overall impressions of Arizona's defense?
He's a really good football player. I like him. He's a football player. He's one of those kids. You might look at him and like, oh, I don't know if this kid can play, but you turn on the film, he's a football player. He's like his brother, tough and just love to play the game. And then you look at their team; they're young on defense. They have a lot of young guys playing for them right now, and they play hard. They do some things to try to disrupt what you're doing up front in your blocking schemes, But they play really hard, and they're young, and they'll give up some things, but they also get some in return because of how aggressive they are. So they do a great job of intercepting the ball. You can see that. But like I said, they give up some things and they get some things back. So we got to be on our A game, both running and throwing the ball. It's been 2 weeks. I know you guys have a lot of questions.
Willie, you were already asked about Braxton, but obviously when you were hired, you had to scramble and put together a recruiting class. Several of those guys were committed to Arizona. What's kind of your relationship like with Rich Rodriguez after that?
Kind of what it was like before that. We see each other. Hello, how you doing, Coach? And that's pretty much it. I don't think, well, at least I know with me, I don't know about other coaches, I don't think you take it too personal. It is what it is. I mean, we all understand what recruiting is, and got to do it to the end, and you never know what's going to happen. These kids have choices, and they have the right to do whatever they decide to do. And again, don't necessarily like it at times, but it is what it is. So you have to be prepared for everything. But I don't think there's any animosity or anything like that. I respect him, and I would say he respect me.
That's it? All right. Thanks, Coach.
All righty. Have a great rest of the all Monday if you want to. Go drink me some milk. I drink the strawberry milk. I don't drink. Oh, ew. That's great. Justin been drinking.